Please be seated.
Hey, boys and girls, weather report for April 28th, 2021. What's happening? How did I get here?
I love that, Scott. That was beautiful.
Please be seated.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah, you have to let me know. I usually, anyway, okay. Why am I here? What the fuck's happening, guys?
What are we doing this for?
I don't know. Somebody just woke me up and told me to get out of bed. Yeah. Are you? Am I a brain in a vat? It's like, who the fuck ever came up with that brain in a vat bullshit?
I'm the vat.
I always think of an acid vat and a brain. Not a good combo. When you order the combo, do not order that combo. It ends bad.
Where did that come from? That was a big. I remember that was a big thing in Cy Bergenkate's and Matt Dillahunty's thing, right? But it was that had come up way before that, though, right? Obviously.
Yeah, it's a philosophy of the mind thing.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah, I don't know where that originated. Yeah,
I'm not sure if that was pre-Chalmers or okay. Here's brain in a vat. So let's see. It's a thought experiment, probably done by one of my heroes, but Gilbert Harmon. Okay, so it's by Harmon. He's the one that came up with that shit.
How old was it? How old was that?
Let's see. God, it's got to be not too old.
Yeah.
He retired in 2017, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Yep. And I think I have one or two.
Cy Bergenkate, he was the one who kind of used to use that a lot, right? In his arguments.
Yeah, how would you know if you're brain in that?
Yeah.
Well, think about it. What is the likelihood? What I like to do is point out, okay, you got the brain in that thing, right? So, okay, there's an evil scientist. His name is Jay. And I don't know why I thought of Jay. But he has a brain in a vat, and he's feeding him all this information for your entire life, and nobody else exists. And you kind of don't exist either, except that you're a brain. And so you have the evil scientist named Jay. Well, what color shirt does Jay have on? So if he has a blue shirt on, then it's one possible world. If he has a red shirt on, it's another possible world. Well, it could be Jill, not Jay. So now we have another possible world with a different scientist. Well, it could be a human. It could be an alien. It could be God. It could be. So anyway, the point is that when you start thinking of brain in the vat experiments or thought experiments, what you're doing is you're saying X. You're saying that X could have accounted for everything in your reality, right? And there are precisely an infinite number of X's that could have accounted for your reality. So the possibility of any one of them is 1 over infinity, which amounts to a big zero. So I mean, it's almost a useless way to think.
But we are a brain. We are our brain, and then our senses to our skin and stuff is the limit of our brain.
And it also goes back to the fact that it's without to absolutes, right? I mean, it's kind of you can't prove.
Yeah.
I mean, you do have certain absolutes, like you exist, but right. So it's kind of part of that, right? Too.
Yes, the absolute is the one that we exist. Yeah.
Yeah,
to ourselves only, I guess.
There's a short introduction to reality book. I forget who wrote it. I think Scott has it too, and he points out that if you are a brain in a vat, then that is reality, and your reality is going to work the same whether you're a brain in a vat or not, because there's no way to tell it you're a brain in a vat, right? So it doesn't fucking matter. It doesn't fucking matter.
So if we're thinking about even computer programs or like video games or something, and something we make in it, does that exist in that universe, basically, or that process of existence?
Yeah.
So existence is relative, kind of, isn't it?
But the thing is, it kind of it kind of allows you to start thinking about, okay, am I a brain? Like, does my brain represent reality in some way? And as soon as you say my brain represents reality, like I see a tree and it's represented to me in my brain, you immediately cross over into a dualism, because you're assuming that there's something watching the representation. And the truth,
though.
The truth of the matter is that there is no, okay, and that's called representationalism in philosophy of the mind. And that means that everything is represented to us in our brain and somehow we're viewing it. Well, that breaks down, and Daniel Dennett gets into that pretty seriously. There is no representation in the brain. You are not representing reality in the brain. So,
Scott, we opened up a can of worms. Speed loves these type of conversations, right, Speed?
Okay, we're going to quit having it now.
No, I'm only kidding. You do. This is right up your alley. You love these kind of.
It is up my alley. I love this shit. But I like to get my drawing pad out when I talk about it. So
yeah, that's right.
Yep. I thought I'm more interested. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. We go by our most likelihood of what we're experiencing from our experiences. I mean, we can only understand if what we're doing is correct, is if other people maybe can agree or confirm too. So
yep, that's one of the arguments that people don't use enough against Darth Dawkins' arguments is experience. You know, I think both of those two things are key to battling his arguments are experience and also in belief, right? Because he argues more of the knowing and all that, and he tricks people into shit. But if you start using it as your experiences, and he can't argue against your experiences. You experience what you experience. Your reality is what your reality is, and how can he argue against that? So that's
So experience doesn't mean that what you experience is true either. So it's hard to really.
That's true. But you can't argue against it, right? Yeah.
It's hard to convey what you're experiencing sometimes, but if somebody else hasn't had that experience, I mean, like if you're under the influence of something, or you have a mental problems or whatever, there's a lot of different ways that experience can be different than what is real.
Not really. Actually, that wouldn't last for very long.
Outside your mind. Outside your mind.
Okay, but outside your mind is pretty much the inside of your mind is actually the outside of your mind. Is actually outside your mind. But you just put your foot in some deep doo-doo here, Top Dog.
What are you talking about? I'm just saying that your experiences could be different than what somebody doesn't have problems and stuff can experience, you know?
Oh, okay. I'm not sure what that means.
I'm saying that your own experience can be different because you're having problems.
If you experience something, it is 99.999% real. Okay, very
something
seldom.
Like a magnet to a computer or something. Does it experience that the experience that it gets and stuff? If it's trying to if you put a magnet to a video camera or something, and then it has a different video signal and stuff than it would have been if it wasn't been magnetized or something.
Yeah.
I was trying to say that its own experience could be different from what's the reality with it hasn't been messed with. There's a hard to understand because we don't know if everybody has a good working mental process all the time. So that's another thing, I guess.
Are you talking about crazy people?
I mean, how some people have like think differently and stuff too.
I don't know. Have you ever
it's
been
hard to explain. It's very hard because there's a lot of variables to really talk about this stuff. I guess that's what it's critical thinking is involved.
Yep. Okay. So we have LPP. Somebody, where did that come from? That just popped up. Somebody named him that in chat, right? In private chat, was that? Or
it was,
in public
some
chat?
story about somebody saying, writing it out, L, and I guess it was either Jay or David, I think, but
Okay.
what I thought. But then he
Anyway.
related it to us, and we thought that was a interesting idea. What happened to Brenda? She was in here for a minute, and then she popped out.
I don't know. We were talking about mind. I think Brenda popped in and then popped out. I'm not sure why. Maybe it popped out because we kind of quit talking about mind. We were going to talk about this. There was a clip last night. We were trying to figure out what was going on. I think, is that fair? Fair assessment of this clip?
Yeah.
With Danny and
Yeah.
So, okay. Well, let me see if I've gone back far enough, because I didn't go all the way back to 315 because Danny and Rob were having a talk. So what do you know about Rob and Sentinel Apologetics?
Very, I mean, not a lot. He's a real nice guy, he's
Old Earth creationist.
He's an old, he's old Earth, and he's a he's a Christian, Bible believing Christian, and extremely intelligent. He goes on, and has some. He's very well versed in what would you call it? The Bible, but not the historical part, but the literature part. Like, what would you call that? He's, I don't know. It's hard to say how. You'd have to listen to some of his talks, but he knows the Bible very well. He's studied the Bible quite a bit, so he has a lot of theological conversations and very sophisticated conversations about the Bible and.
Okay, so Walker, just a walking fit, said he's cool. He's not an old Earth creationist, but then he said he's Christian, but still agrees with evolution. So I think old Earth creationist is a little wider. I mean, a lot of people believe in old Earth creation, that God just created the universe in a certain way, that everything sort of evolved naturally, right?
Right.
So
I think he's actually, you might not want to put him in that category as old Earth creationist.
What does that mean to you, old Earth creationist?
Well, that would mean more on the lines of you believe in the Bible a little more literally, right? I guess.
Old Earth? I don't know. I don't think so.
I don't know. I think a lot of times people might think of that as a person that would, believe in the creation story, right? But believe it as in, instead of doing it as in days, as the 6-day creation, that could be meant as thousands of years to make it fit to an old Earth, but yet, you know what I mean? So that's how I think of her, and probably a lot of other people might, right?
Yeah, but there's different. You run into different varieties. Like Michael Behe, I think, thinks that God tinkered all along the way.
Yeah. Okay. So there's a lot of gradation here. It's sort of a spectrum between young Earth creationism on one side and entirely naturalistic processes on the other side.
Right.
Michael Behe would not call himself an old Earth creationist. So old Earth creationists are specifically, they agree with certain things like Big Bang cosmology. They agree that the Earth is 4.6 or whatever billion years old, but they would say that evolution didn't happen. And maybe they would also say that, like, God planted the first cells and all that kind of stuff. So abiogenesis didn't happen. Yeah. So old Earth creationists are usually biblical literalists that don't take the whole age idea literally. So they think Adam and Eve were literal people that existed certain times in the past, but if you add up the genealogies, that won't give you an accurate date. That's what older creationist is.
What do you call Christians that adhere to naturalism entirely and they believe it all happened at the Big Bang, that God did all his work?
There's also interesting gradations there. So you have people who would be considered theistic evolutionists, which believe that everything could have happened naturally without a God, but they just believe in a God, specifically like the Christian God usually. And then you also have evolutionary creationists who would believe that something along the lines of what you said, where like God set up everything from the very start of the universe, but still sort of guided the universe, maybe not directly, but built the universe in a way that would eventually result in humans and stuff like that.
Yeah,
so
those are the guys I get along with.
Yeah. So evolutionary creationists would be people like Simon Conway Morris, if you know who that is. Francis Collins, and all of BioLogos considers themselves an evolutionary creationist organization. So they're not necessarily old Earth creationists, because old Earth creationists would still believe that Adam and Eve were literal people, whereas evolutionary creationists might say that, like Adam and Eve may have existed or something, but they weren't special creations and they weren't the direct ancestors of all humans, right?
Okay. Yeah.
That would be sort of, like I said, it's a spectrum of beliefs. And I think Rob is sort of in the evolutionary creationist camp. I think he holds to things like universal common descent. And I don't think he takes as far as Behe to say that like God had to tinker. Not fully sure though.
Right. I agree with that. And like we're talking about, there's so many variations of it. You know, it's hard to really put, especially anybody that believes in old Earth, that can be a wide range of different types.
Yeah, that's why I would say there's like loosely defined categories, like young Earth creationist. I see it personally as young Earth creationist, old Earth creationist, ID proponent, evolutionary creationist, theistic evolutionist, and then like naturalist or something like that.
Holy shit, we got a lot of species. Are those created kinds? Are those created?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Is a Catholic a created kind?
Yes. Yeah. They're blasphemy or what, or whatever they
Satan
call
worshippers, I think.
Yeah. Jeez.
Have you ever?
They're not real Christians,
Can we do a phylogeny on them?
Yeah.
Honestly, you probably could do a phylogeny with like all the different creationist beliefs throughout time.
Yeah. We should do that.
Catholicism is just a cult,
Huh?
What is?
Catholicism is just a cult,
Oh, it is? It's a pretty big cult.
Being sarcastic.
According to a lot of Christians on YouTube, it is. That's
on YouTube, but according to the 1 billion Christians who don't give a damn about some logical, possible, and plausible.
PeePee?
They think it is a religion because it has been for the last 2,000 years. I just want to say sorry about my install crashed, and it might happen again.
Okay.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify.
I recently installed Fedora 34, and it's a little rough around the edges.
Do you run Linux?
Yeah.
The Linux had.
So
good.
I think the non-free codecs are still a little bit wonky or something. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I would. I think I would have.
We're getting a lot of comments in the side chat about Rob. People seem to. Jerry's made a bunch of. So Rob twists science to fit the Bible, aka Hugh Ross.
I don't think that's necessarily true. So Hugh Ross.
I don't know.
Yeah. So Hugh Ross and do you know who Fazal Rana is?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they have their own organization called Reasons to Believe, which is like an old Earth creationist organization. So Hugh Ross is like the astronomy guy. Faz Rana is like the biochem guy. And so they both believe that, there's not universal common descent. They believe that there was multiple creation events along the way throughout Earth's history. They just believe Earth is old.
Doesn't Hugh Ross also believe in UFOs and aliens?
I have no idea. I think you're right. I'm more familiar with what Faz says than what Hugh Ross says.
Yeah, he's pretty out there, Hugh Ross. Yeah.
Yeah,
but I think
the thing is with some of these guys, you know, they seem they're okay and they're nice people and they're not, you know, complete assholes like some of the short bus people we know. Mm-hmm. But you get into their ideas and it's like, oh shit, that's pretty bonkers. I don't think UFO aliens and stuff.
You know, I think as soon as you get outside of the like YouTube young Earth creationists. Or not even YouTube young Earth creationists. I think as soon as you get outside of like the young Earth creationists, they're mostly like nice people who are pretty chill and you can have a respectful conversation with.
Yeah. I agree.
But the young Earth creationists, I think what you're about to play is that whole thing about like him calling young Earth creationism a cult and stuff. And I think that perfectly describes, you know, how young Earth creationism is treated and how, you know, vitriolic Maddox got to defend, like to argue against Rob there.
Yeah, we were going to play this clip.
Did you see it, Walker?
I'm going to take off. I got more stuff to do on this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you for letting me in.
Okay.
I just thought I'd drop in and say hello and bitch about stuff. Okay.
Thank you, Brenda. Welcome. Thank you.
Thanks for coming. Love bitching.
So, Walker, did you listen to this?
So I was really bored at like 1:30 a.m. last night. And I was like, oh shit, LPP is live. So I skipped around for a little bit. I just happened to land on this one part where Maddox was blowing up on Rob and calling him an asshole and calling him rude and just going out of his way to degrade and insult young Earth creationists. And I thought that part was hilarious.
Yeah. So
every
do
time,
you know?
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Do you know why LPP got mad at Rob? Was it because of his YouTube channel, or was it because of something he said on the stream?
I think it was something related to a private conversation they had.
Well, that too, yes. He mentioned that too, because they've had some private conversations. So Maddox did bring that up while he was chewing Rob out about it. Mm-hmm. But it triggered, what triggered it was what he said right in this stream. He started talking about basically, apologized a little bit. It kind of, the conversation got into that, and he started talking about how young Earth people, make the time fit. And he was talking about, Adam and Eve goes to, goes to Exodus in 1 week. And that right there triggered Maddox. And that's when he freaked out.
Well, I mean, to be fair, Rob was sort of portraying what like the young Earth model is, quote unquote, wrong, but it's still ridiculous. And I think, I don't know, I think every time you think Maddox has like a little bit of self-awareness, he just shatters any hopes of that. You know, there was like that the one time he's gone out of his way to call people assholes before, and I just always find it funny whenever Maddox in particular is calling someone an asshole, especially someone like Rob, who's very clearly not an asshole.
Exactly. Yeah. It's just projection. Like, oh my God.
There was one time I remember him talking about T-Jump, and he was like, well, T-Jump is just an asshole who goes on debates to make fun of people and stuff like that. And it's like, I mean, I'm not a T-Jump fan. I don't necessarily disagree, but hearing that from Maddox is incredible.
Yes. It's sort of funny. Yeah.
Like, at the very least, it's the pot calling the kettle black.
Yeah. Yeah, well, by the way, Top Dog and everybody, just today talked me into becoming a kinder, gentler atheist. And so I'm going to stop calling these fucking idiots is what my plan is. And I'm going to start, referring to LPP as, I don't know, I haven't decided yet what to call him, but.
Well, his preferred name is Alpha Wolf.
Alpha?
I said his preferred name is Alpha Wolf.
It's
Have you
what?
Forgotten? Alpha Wolf.
Alpha Wolf.
Alpha Wolf.
Oh, I could call him Alpha Wolf.
Yeah, like I said, anyway. I mean that was a story that he was very proud of. So I think that's within the wheelhouse of things that you could use.
I could call him Cojones.
Huge cojones. You could call him Elephant
Huge
Tiger.
Cojones. Yeah, he's got huge cojones. And I could call him Manly and I don't know, Manly Cojones. How about that?
I really wished I time-stamped the time where Maddox mentioned this channel. That would have been nice, and I didn't. I wished I did, but
yeah. And he said streams
all the manly guys over, not manly guys. All the how did he word it? Now I can't remember. He insulted the manlyhood of the people in the stream, basically. So.
I have to peace out and get to class, but I just want to come in and clarify the young Earth creationism versus like the different gradations and stuff.
Yeah, so what?
Hilarious.
I've always called them old Earth creationists. Now I don't know what the fuck to call them. I'm talking about I'm talking about people that do not like. The guy I really love to talk to on this is Sygart. Okay. And I don't think Sygart has a horse in this race as to where it happened.
I think Cy would call himself an evolutionary creationist.
Yeah.
So you could still say, I guess, creationist is a more general term, but I think honestly he'd probably be chill with evolutionary creationist or theistic evolutionist.
Okay.
I think those are probably.
Okay, yeah. I just want to get the terms right. Okay. I'm gonna have another sip of soy milk, and then play this clip.
Yeah, I'm gonna go. Yeah, I'm gonna make some soy tea for.
Make some soy tea. Yeah.
Bye, dudes.
I didn't know soy tea was a thing, but it isn't, right?
Yeah. You can easily speed that up too a little bit.
It's sped up, I think, already because
yeah, you can.
I think I'm at 1.25.
Yeah.
Okay.
Evil, right? But then there's that conversation about the problem of evil.
Yeah.
And but yeah, I just don't really have gripes with for me. It's funny because you seem like very well studied on like the doctrine and scriptures and text and history and culture with respect to the text. And I don't really have that is not a barrier for me at all, right? I think the atheists that come in and say, well, here's all these problems with the text, I just don't really share in those criticisms. I don't. Yeah. I mean, I find, in fact, I don't want to say that it's evidence per se, but I do want to say I find the text very interesting. I find it, they point out like I don't know why it doesn't bother me. What is it? What passages like when, and a lot of it is straw men, right? You hear a lot of straw men, but like when was it Elijah or he was called Baldy, right?
Elisha.
Elisha. Sorry.
Yeah.
And oh my gosh, like the outrage of the non-Christian, right? Like. I just don't have a problem. I don't have these problems with that, right?
No, there's a very interesting engineering and divine counsel context behind that story. Just throwing it out.
I think I was broadly familiar. I was fine with thinking that, because my philosophical commitments are that there's not a fact of the matter as to what is an act worth being mauled by bears. I just don't know what ground I would be standing on if I were to make the claim that, calling someone baldy has the property of not deserving that consequence. I don't know what I would appeal to philosophically. So I just don't have a problem with it, right?
What the fuck are they talking about? They called him what?
Bald head. In other words, they made fun of him for being bald. A bunch of youthful Israelites or whatever on the road saw the prophet Elisha, one of those two. And said, "Oh, you bald head!" And so either Elijah declared it, or God just sent some bears to maul them to death. A bunch of them, multiple bodies of children or youth, mauled to death by a bear. And he's saying, and Danny is saying somehow he doesn't understand why that would be considered wrong.
So I should send some bears to maul Danny to death because Danny.
It would be wrong. It would not be wrong.
Okay. So, because Danny has no problem with that.
There's no grounding for understanding why it would be wrong.
Okay.
If that happened, I just don't. What could I appeal to say that ought to not have happened? Given the operating internally within that framework, right? I don't really see it.
What the fuck? Okay, wait a minute. What is Danny defending here? The whole kill the children because they called him Baldy?
I say that we skip over the Danny part.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
We're going to get to the other conflict.
I'll just quickly say this, and in fact, it's like this young. I find it ironic.
Right here we go.
If you're going to
be true, I find it ironic that what you want
into context. If you're going to go down this rabbit hole, let's not act as if there's a couple of weeks and all of these things. You and I both know we're literally talking about thousands of years at this point. So let's put things in context.
Well, 6,000 years is nothing compared to 100,000 years of human existence.
I'm speaking specifically in relation to the things you were talking about transpiring. Are you suggesting that from the young Earth model that the time between Adam and the Exodus is a couple of weeks.
Okay, so in the young Earth model, how long is it? Like, does it happen before the flood, the Exodus?
No.
Okay, so it's after the flood. So there's 1,400 years, and then there's the flood. And when does the Exodus happen?
Okay, let me think.
That's after Jesus.
1800 BC, maybe something like that. I mean, if I'm trying to remember the timeline that I read in my NIV study Bible in the footnotes.
Oh, I want to see that motherfucker. I want to see that timeline because I need to frame this. So, what is John pushing back on? Is what I'm trying to figure out here. So how long?
If the Earth is 6,000 years old,
okay, we have 1,400 years to the flood.
You had 2,000 years between. I don't know where I get this number from, but ostensibly it was like under their model, or their belief, it was 6,000 to 4,000. Okay, 4,000 to. Oh, wait a minute. I don't know how long it was between the fall and the flood.
They said 1,400.
So what?
1,400 years is what I've heard from Stanley.
Okay, so we were created apparently in 4004 BC, right?
So we got 1,600 years between Christ and the flood.
2,000 years from then would be 2000 BC.
2K,
and that's about right
36.
for the time of like maybe the Exodus or something. But where's the time for the flood and any kind of recovery?
Or is there 26?
So, I can't make sense of the timeline either. It's
2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. Okay. So 2,600 years between the flood and Jesus. We have 2,600 years to work with. Okay.
And that's the thing, is they will not pin it down either. Anytime you try to have these conversations, they want no part of it. They won't even discuss it most of the time. Right?
Yeah, somewhere. Okay, so and then Stanley, I think, said Babel happened like 200 or 300 years after the flood. I think that's what he said. So then we got 2,300 years, and somewhere in there we had the Neanderthals for 1,300. So they were around for half of the time between Jesus and Babel. Okay. So, yeah. Well,
and where did the dinosaurs come in?
Are we? Well, I think they were. Weren't
they
like
at the beginning, right?
Before the flood, they were all created, all the dinosaurs.
Yeah,
and
that's
then,
way at the beginning, yeah.
And then after the flood, there were a few of them on the ark that they let off the boat.
Yeah.
And then they went extinct because they ended up getting covered in the fossil, in the sediment from the flood, right? Well, a lot of them were killed in the flood, apparently.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, am I being unfair to them to ask these questions?
Absolutely not. But they will not. You can't sit down and have a conversation like this and have them pin down, roughly year to year, because like you always say, and every other person that has these conversations, they'll start bouncing all over the place, and and you can't even have the conversation, even though you'd like to know. I mean, hey, I'd like to know what their belief is and how it all fits, and maybe it would make sense to me, but no, they won't have these conversations.
Maddox just says that's irrelevant. It doesn't matter what I think. Doesn't matter.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That's what
but now
they just dismiss it, or
Okay, that's why I'm interested in this clip, because I think he's committing to some of its relevance.
Very little. He says very little. But,
relatively speaking,
2,000 years. No, I'm asking relatively. You didn't make it relative. So, are you suggesting that 1,000 years is the equivalent of a week?
What?
Yeah, and proportionally, if you're going to compare it
if you want to go proportionally, I'm talking about in the context from the actual human experience perspective.
So the human experience, we're talking about real time. So it literally takes 1,000 years or maybe more. So 930 years for Adam and so on.
So again, from our perspective, is that not a long time?
Not really. No, it's all 6,000. This is why young creationists try and fit a 6,000 year old period.
Hang on. Are you suggesting that from our current perspective that 1000 AD 1000 was not a long time ago from our perspective.
Not at all, because that's the exact phraseology and wording from Ken Hovind, Ken Ham.
I'm not talking about them, buddy. I'm talking about for the average. I'm talking to the average human. I am not Ken Ham, and I am not Ken Hovind. So
yeah, 1,000 years.
Rob, I've tried to be very nice in our conversations. So don't come on to my channel and equate me with people who I know you personally and publicly insult on a regular basis and talk with great derision. So if you're going to come on my channel and put that in my
okay, right here. I didn't see any way in which Rob was insulting John.
He did not. He insulted young Earth creationism. Kind of. I mean,
kind of.
He just brought it up, and he was, I guess you would say, exaggerating the timeline, right? He was saying, see, you didn't actually play that part. It happened just before you started this. And he said, Rob was saying, well, you had, what did he say? You had Adam and Eve, lasted a week, and then he was satisfied with, I forget how he worded it. And then he said the Exodus happened in another week, and then this happened in another week. He just mentioned like a timeline, and he said a week for this, a week for that, a week for this,
okay.
and that's what triggered. That's what triggered Maddox. It was just that. That was the comment that he made, and it was just. But Rob has said, like Maddox is bitching about right there. He has complained. He has probably ridiculed or said some things about Ken Ham and Ken Hovind in other streams and other conversations. Maddox and him have had private conversations. So, there was other things that they're not even talking about here that they've talked about in the past that has triggered Maddox also, so it's kind of a combination.
Okay. So Jungle Jargon says the flood happened 4700 BC. So how the fuck does that make sense? That means you're 7,000 years old? 2, 6? I don't know.
Well, but the Bishop Usher year is 4004 BC for the creation.
Yeah. For creation? Okay,
do we really want to go by Jungle Jargon? I don't know about that.
Probably not. No.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
Okay. So let's see what happens next.
My face. You can leave, or we can continue to have general dialogue.
Yeah. So I'm picking up on the phraseology that
Danny's atheist friend. I'm talking. You and I are talking right now because you're on my channel, and you just directed a side insult at me. So. Are we clear, Rob?
Actually, I don't think I did. What did I say that was an insult to you?
Well, if you don't understand that, then I don't know what world you're in.
I mean, young Earth creationist, you kind of like thrown under the bus.
Because notice that the atheist friend to Danny
Rob,
was basically coming from the point of view of
Rob, I'm not talking about Danny. I'm not talking about his friend. I'm talking about you and I right now. Okay? You do understand that, correct?
Of course, I understand that.
Okay, cool. So let's have
That's why I'm talking to you and I'm
right. And you're in an aside. Now, I'm talking about you and I's conversation right now. Okay? So. Do you or do you not make public derisive comments towards people who do not believe in the old Earth model? Yes or no?
No, I don't.
Yes, you do. You do on a regular basis on your channel.
Quote me.
Just
you literally say it's a cult.
Mm-hmm.
And do we not
the model is a cult. Yeah.
So did we not have a private conversation about this, Rob?
We did.
Okay, cool. So we covered this. And again, now you're on my channel.
I'm not even mentioning
being a dick
anything,
and continuing.
I'm not even mentioning it to be a cult. You are.
Okay. So Rob, you're on my channel. I don't come onto your channel publicly and do this kind of thing. Okay. So if we can have normal conversation, that's fine. But keep your derisive insults just wrapped up. Okay. Just have general conversation. Otherwise, I would prefer for us to be able to have ongoing dialogue. But don't dance, bro. Don't dance.
And I've been having a dialogue with Danny, just fine.
So wait a minute. Okay, so John is saying if you criticize young Earth creationism on his channel, that you're insulting him. Is that what he's saying? Anyone?
if that's what he means by an aside, like, but I don't know where he could even construe there was an insult in an aside comment.
Yeah, it just seems like he's way over the top here on going after this run.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said,
Rob at least definitely sounds
bad mouthing creationist.
I'm done.
God damn it. Okay. I'm sorry, guys. I cut you off. I did that whole double click thing. Son of a bitch. Okay, yeah, we'll roll.
Yeah, I don't. You might want to go back and see. You see where he kicked him out right there. You might want to.
Oh, he did.
20 seconds or so.
Kind of bullshit. Back. Otherwise, like I would, if we can have normal conversation, that's fine. But keep your derisive insults just wrapped up. Okay, just have general conversation. Otherwise, like I would prefer for us to be able to have ongoing dialogue. But don't dance, bro. Don't dance.
I've been having a dialogue with Danny, just fine.
What the fuck? That was it? He threw him out?
No, he brings him back, though. If you keep going, he still goes at him a little bit more.
Okay. I'm done with Rob, to me. I'll go. This is the kind of bullshit that comes out of him that I find really obnoxious. We can have general conversations and good dialogue, and then you just keep the insults to yourself. If you're on my channel, if you want to talk all sorts of trash on your channel, do so. But don't come onto mine and do so. It's very basic, good sense, Rob. You guys continue your conversation.
See?
Yeah, with all due respect, I just wanted to know, I mean, whether what the beginning of what he said was contentious or not, I think there was something there that he wanted to convey, and I didn't get it, so.
Yeah, all I was saying was that this is nothing against young Earth creationists. It's just the perspective, the psychological perspective that atheist is providing. That he's mocking the Christian model, or the biblical model of, oh look, God, Jesus was late to the game, because he's already coming at this from a long ages, epochs, and so on, and then only God suddenly decides to do this 2,000 years ago. And I find that to be quite immature and petty. So I flipped it around and I was like, all right, if he were to have a dialogue with a young Earth creationist, that would be quite ironic. So, because in the young creationist model, you don't have long epochs. It's all within this very brief time of just 6,000 years.
But when I hear this objection...
But Danny, just quickly, so what I'm trying to say is my response to your atheist friend would have been, the fact that it's 30.8 billion years all the most shows how beautifully grand this reality actually is, and life, and the complexities, and the amount of time that God in his grace has allowed to transpire to then bring about basically what we perceive in reality, and all the permutations that's taken place. So all the more then,
that's pretty much it right there.
If what Jesus did 2,000 years ago is what he did, then that's a big wake-up call to the fact that God is now deciding to introduce a culmination of things, like what Jesus basically said, repent and believe, the kingdom of God is at hand, that language. That's how I would respond back to your atheist friend.
Yeah, usually it's in the context of them like being presented the sort of, you had two covenants, and then I guess them not understanding that, and then kind of alluding to the fact that there were all these people that didn't believe in Jesus and his atonement and whatnot prior to his existence. So I think that's the context of what they're saying, that Jesus came at a moment in which, you had millions of people already kind of live their lives and die without believing the necessary.
And I agree with that. Yeah. Okay.
What would the numbers be with population levels now, even if you take that view of, I don't know what you...
The current estimate, the current estimate is about 100 billion humans that's ever existed.
Total. For was that the 200,000 year thing?
Yeah.
Okay. So still quite a bit behind us then still.
Oh, no, not before Christ. In fact,
ever, right?
That's the thing. I don't know if you're talking about 2000 prior, but
yeah.
But as far as we know, it's about 100 billion.
Didn't they posit it was like 10,000 bottleneck thing, but for long periods? I guess.
No, that 10,000 bottleneck was something like 500 years, maybe 1,000 years during the Toba eruption in the Persian Gulf. So the Toba was more east, but there's this very long winter for about a year long, and then that took about 1,000 years to sort of warm up a little bit. But yeah, we were at a very low bottleneck.
low
Well,
level for a long time.
I got my enjoyment from the stream because I have to finish a paper, and this was a break, so I have to go finish it. I guess.
Does LPP get after Rob again after this, or
no? That was it. That was the whole thing.
that was it. Okay. Well,
Yeah.
it was
Like I
interesting.
said, it was barely anything. Like I said, Rob conflated the the young Earth model a little bit. He was just generalizing. Oh, it took a week for this, a week for that, and Rob's not a young Earth, so the way he described it, LPP took a real offense to that, and obviously you heard LPP. He took offense to other things that Rob has said in the past too.
Yeah. So there's a deeper context here to the interaction.
A little bit. Yeah.
Yep.
But I just found it funny because I don't, like I said, I mean, I don't hear little LPP there talk about young Earth very much at all. At least from what I hear of him. He just doesn't, he barely admits it almost. I mean, I guess
he barely admits it.
I mean, I have heard him speak plenty, and he just doesn't go down that road at all.
Yeah, okay. So LPP mentions in the night before's broadcast that masks have been found in these 5 new papers to be problematic. And the anti-masking thing is really building up with who's that asshole on Fox News that always looks confused, always looks like he's trying to understand what his eyelids are doing. What's his name?
The punchable Tucker Carlson?
Yes, him. Yeah, the guy that always looks highly confused by everything.
There was
it looks
a
like
lot
he
of
needs to go down to the CVS and get some Mylanta or something.
Well, he says that if you see a little kid wearing a mask outside, you should call the police and keep calling them until they show up. And when the police, I guarantee when the police show up, and you should report the parents for child abuse. I guarantee you when the police show up, you're going away in handcuffs.
There was a lot of mask conversation went on during this stream also. I did not timestamp that, but
really?
LPP was going on about how disgusted he was, or how it bothered him to see people out jogging. If they're just jogging, they're outside, they're away from everybody, wearing masks. People out riding bicycles, they're just absolute idiots because they're wearing masks. And then he went on to say that, and I even was in, in a hotel or in an elevator. I was even in an elevator the other day, and I saw somebody had a dog, and the dog had a mask on, and these people are just so stupid. And he went on, and there was quite a conversation about that.
Right, and Tucker Carlson, in a couple of phrases, he suggested that they should do violence on people that have masks. So he actually he put it, he worded it kind of carefully, but he was calling for, we need to take the offensive against these people, and which to at least 10% of America, like LPP, is going to amount to going up and punching people in the face for wearing a mask, right? And on bikers wearing masks, when bikers go by, like me and my son, back during the start of the pandemic, when it was just gearing up, we went for walks on paths on the river valley here, and bikers would go by you. Well, my son, of course, being the researcher that he is, looked it up, and those fucking bikers shoot moisture particles out like 12 to 20 feet when they're biking, when they're breathing real hard. So those guys wearing masks should not offend you at all. You should thank them. Because
exactly. Yeah, I agree. I mean, people that are, choose to wear a mask when they're out running, it's all about protecting other people that you may come in contact with, that somebody might come close to you. And like you said, it can go quite a distance. So, LPP, he's just a moron. I'm sorry, but we're trying to turn over a new leaf here, Speed, and not say terrible things about the creationists. Is that what we're trying to do? Or
Yeah, we're gonna say nice things about this fucking moron.
Oh, okay, all right. No, I just want to make sure because I want to be able to, follow along with the rules here. That
I mean, we want to point out that this fucking moron was probably a cute baby at one point for a couple of days.
Yeah,
and we want to say really nice things about him.
I find LPP, an absolute idiot a lot of the times, and some of the shit that he says, and so arrogant about it, and everybody else is stupid in his mind. I swear he acts like he's the smartest, YouTuber. It's quite funny that how he projects like that, and everybody's stupid. These idiots riding around on their bicycles with masks on, and they may protect your life, John, someday if he goes riding by and spits on you.
Yeah, so molecular alchemy, there was a part where in Tucker's talk where he said we need to take the offense and push back against this or something, which to me sounded a little bit like something that might trigger some people. I don't know. There was more to it than that. We'd have to play the clip. I don't give a fuck about Tucker Carlson. He is just such a douchebag idiot. But he was also a cute baby at one point. But so I did say something nice about him.
You have to wonder what LPP. Of course, the internet is quite different, right? I mean, people behave differently. I'm sure he's a dick outside of the internet, right, John? Right? I mean, obviously, the way he behaves, he has to be a dick outside of it. But how does he really behave? Christ, you would think he'd get knocked out. You would think if he talked to people the way he talks to people online. I mean, he's knock him out. Like, he's just so arrogant,
Yeah, he's 6'2", so he figures that he can handle most people. But I got a feeling there are people I could knock him out.
Yeah, 6'2" doesn't mean anything.
Yeah,
it really doesn't. It's when you're talking about. I don't know. I'd be curious to know. I mean, he's certainly right. He constantly is talking about his business world, how he's involved in all this his business world. He certainly can't behave the way he behaves online in his business world. He certainly wouldn't make any money because people would be like, "Wow, you're an ass. See you later." Right? I mean, most of the time. So yeah.
So I picked a paper here that seems to be saying something about masks. So let me see if I can download the PDF for this one. I can. Okay, cool. So when I'm walking, so what is it saying really? Okay, even the proper use is incorporated into larger improper use in the era of pandemic fear, especially in Asia. I don't know. So I'm trying to find out what what 5 papers he's talking about that he read, because they're not in his for annoying people thing yet, or at least I don't think they are. So he was talking about how masks are problematic, and we should be pissed off when we see people. People actually get pissed off when they see you wearing a mask, which is going to be a fucking problem, right?
Yeah, in a little while that is going to be a problem, because you're going to have, as more and more people get vaccinated, less and less people are going to start. There's going to be more people out there that aren't going to be wearing masks. And then it's going to turn into a shitstorm. Like you could have, you could have fights. You could have lots of violence. Really, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
over what? I mean, if somebody wants to wear a fucking mask, let them. But then the people that don't wear a mask, what I suggest is you just start coughing and wiping sweat off your forehead, and just and see what they do.
Yeah.
See how they respond. Because I've been thinking about this mask thing in terms of flu and colds. I don't like getting a cold, and I don't like getting the flu.
Yeah.
So I might just keep wearing masks. I don't know, because I got COPD, and when I walk through a store, if I walk really fast, I'll run out of breath. And a mask is not the easiest thing to wear. But I went to Walmart for the first time in a year and 2 months. And I wore a mask, and I didn't even notice I had a mask on anymore. So it obviously didn't bother me at all, even with, slight breathing problems. So I don't know. I mean, my breathing problems are not that bad, but they're there. If I run up and down stairs or hoist a few 30-pound weights about 20 times, I run out of breath. So, let's see. What the fuck does it say here? Face masks are not designed or certified to protect the wearer from exposure to respiratory hazards. Okay, I don't know. So what do we do here?
So what the fuck do surgical masks do for surgeons?
Right. That's what I'm wondering.
Wear them? And they're not even ostensibly carrying a pandemic disease.
Here's another one.
One thing I find too is like, if you're a person that works outside a lot, I've worked outside a good portion of my life, and you definitely don't get sick, because of that much space, that much air. Obviously the people that work more in business offices and big businesses, that's where the stuff really spreads a lot, and people are just not as healthy, right? I mean, they tend to get colds like you're talking about, and flus and things like that. So it makes a big difference.
So I don't know. The vaccine seems to be having an effect on the virus rate, because it's a little premature, but it just started dipping down in the last week, and that might be a good thing. So it's having some effect. We still have a lot of people not getting vaccinated.
What about it? Like you look over and like, what is it? India? Is it India that's really? I mean, supposedly their health system or their hospital system or whatever, the health system is like on the verge of collapse, or some things. I see some of that kind of. I haven't really looked into that at all, but
yeah, it's pretty bad in India right now.
Yeah.
So fuck, we're going up again in Minnesota. God damn it. Premature. So the governor's talking about opening up more and more shit because the numbers went down for 3 days, and now they're climbing back up again. So like, Jesus Christ. And 22 people lost their lives in Minnesota yesterday. So I would like to see somebody do a fucking documentary where they show those 22 people and their relatives at their funeral.
What about Brazil too? Isn't Brazil really bad? And that's a fairly small country too, right?
Well, anybody who doesn't want to get vaccinated should voluntarily get their vaccine card and send it to somebody in Brazil or India to see if they want to get vaccinated.
Yeah,
they should have to actually do that. Just it's like
funny. Antangelo doesn't talk about it at all. I haven't heard him mention it, but I mean, that's got to be scary for him, right? I mean, maybe he stays pretty isolated. I don't know, but I know Brazil is real bad. It's got to be scary.
Yeah, let's see. Suggest you deleted us against. Oh my God, what did Stephanie say? Chicken wire to flies? Oh yeah. Okay, she's on this. Are you on this fucking thing too, Stephanie? Don't make me boot you, Stephanie. We love you.
And isn't it really the droplets that contain the virus that we're concerned about? It's not like all these free-floating viruses. Yeah. It's droplets that contain viruses that you don't want to sneeze or have somebody sneeze and it float through the air. And I just did a Google search, and Brazil has like over 212 million people. So that is a big problem if they don't get it under control.
Yeah.
I know they got a lot of real estate, but they got a lot of population.
I just saw some numbers just like a day or two ago. Now I can't remember the numbers. There was like a shitload of people dying, like per day. I forget what the numbers were, like 5,000 a day. I don't know what the hell it was throughout the whole country. I don't know. I can't remember, but it was really bad.
Okay, so there's some evidence here that masks do help. I don't know. I think this is just sort of a general overview of all this. I don't know.
It's an essay by a doctor who's also working on a PhD in a non-medical field.
Okay. So I don't know.
But is the doctor an epidemiologist? I mean,
Yeah, but I mean, it's common sense when you're wearing that mask that it's going to stop. It's going to stop droplets, right? And what you're not worried about 1 or 2 virus molecules getting out and hitting you, because your immune system will probably mop them right up. But if you get a good charge of about a fucking million virus particles, then your immune system loses the battle initially, and that's how you get the flu. So I don't know. But okay. On one of Praise's streams, they were saying that Joel was saying that the mask actually increases the velocity of the virus particles because somehow there's more air pressure and it shoots them out further, is what his theory was. And I'm going to call bullshit on that one until I see some really.
That and it builds up. They build up or something too. I think.
Yeah.
Might have said, that they build up and then the pressure, or somewhere along those lines. Yep.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway,
me and Jay, when you interrupted us for this stream, Speed, me and Jay were having a pretty intense conversation about him, our buddy Joel, because they had him and Jay. Jay probably told you about that whole conversation they had way back when what's the drug that they were using, chloroform, or what was the?
Yeah.
Him and Joel had a battle over that. This is going way back, like 8 months ago. They had a battle, him and Jay, and that's what we were actually talking about.
Okay, so the study out of Stanford LPP was talking about is not a study. It's a random article written by a VA employee in Palo Alto, passed around social media. I would like to get a link to that article. So, I mean, is that his paper? His 5 papers that he mentioned? And 5 papers? How well did masks work? Okay, Top Dog's got a link, too.
Where the hell does Maddox stand? Is he an anti-masker? Like, I mean, like you always say, Speed, he says shit, and he just babbles on and on. And half of his sentences you can't even make heads or tails of, right? I mean, and he doesn't really commit to anything. He's so vague about.
He got into a fight with Randolph where he was pushing back on Randolph because Randolph did something about turning in somebody who wasn't masking properly or something. I don't know.
Yeah. I didn't catch that whole thing. I did catch a tiny bit of that. I didn't listen to that whole thing.
Right. And so he came out pretty hard as an anti-masker. Yeah. And basically the whole right wing idea is they're against anything. What are they against? They're almost against anything that would make people's lives better in a way, like, feeding hungry people. And I don't know, except for fetuses. They really have a soft spot for fetuses because they want to protect them at all costs. But as soon as they pop out the womb, they don't give a fuck about them anymore, right? Then they're soy boys. Yeah, they're soy boys, and we're not going to help them out anymore. We're not going to do anything.
Yeah, this is just another example of, it's just so hard to comprehend their way of thinking. It really is.
You got to man up, not wear a mask.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
No little virus is going to fuck with me. I'm 6'2". I'm a big boy.
We need to stop acting more feminine over here because, according to Maddox, we're very feminine over here, apparently.
Yes.
Yeah. So we need to start acting that way.
Because we're tolerable, or we tolerate people.
Yeah. I guess so.
I'm going to be, I need to embrace the speed of pudding persona because I think that's more, according to the icon I'm using today, is more soft and friendly, even though I do look a little bit like a creepy, perverted old man there. But anyway, it's all in how you read it.
Yeah.
Yep. So
the Christians they just don't seem to stop giving, right? The gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah, here's what I don't want to fucking see. And the thing is that this whole COVID-19 thing is it is a test run for us. It's a kind and gentle message from the universe as to what could happen to us, right?
Oh yeah.
Because this virus did not have to be as nice as it was. this virus, depending on who it landed on, sometimes didn't hurt you at all. I mean, there is a virus out there that is going to be 90% lethal or 99% lethal. And it isn't just going to take out 500,000 of us. It's going to take out 99.9% of us.
Yeah.
And who's going to run the fucking economy then?
Right. That definitely could happen.
The Black Plague was like that?
Yeah.
Well, the Black Plague was like 40 to 50% average, and it kept reappearing. It kept you had the first wave in Justinian's Eastern Roman Empire. You had the second wave in the 1400s, and then you had another wave later on, and it just kept coming every 10 to 20 years or so. And it wouldn't necessarily affect as many people, but it certainly put a damper on people's confidence about the future and things like that, because it could come back at any time. And it could take the children worse than the adults. And then later it could take the adults worse than the children. But it was just this constant threat of disease hanging over people's heads all the time.
Now we know how we got it.
Yeah.
Or and how we get it.
Titan points out that a lot of the, or not a lot, but some of the asymptomatic people are coming out with long-term effects. I have a friend of a friend who was talking that happened to, and it was like 100 and like months later, ended up with severe respiratory problems and just like always tired and just totally fucked him up.
Well, nowadays, I mean, you look at, like you said, these viruses. I mean, the way the world operates today with the way we travel, right? I mean, there's so much travel now that
what if air prices or like airline prices fall, and we become even more connected? That's the problem with our race right now. That's what we're seeing. That's why this is a test. People take it fucking seriously.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just, there's no stopping. Like you said, if you got a real bad virus, like you say, that's 90% deadly or whatever, that, I mean, it can really wipe out most of the planet because of the way everything operates. We travel so much and move around so much, just even in cars. I mean, you're just traveling around and it just spreads like wildfire.
Yeah, when I first heard about COVID, that's what I had to ask myself, is this it? Is this going to end us? And it's like, it fucking could have, Just, I don't know. Oh, let's see. I'm trying to find a little picture here.
Today's a quiet day, huh? Where is everybody? Yesterday the stream was jammed, right?
Yeah. We got how many people? Oh, we got 30 people watching, or 29. But nobody's hitting my like button. What the fuck? You know how sad that makes me. That makes me want to be meaner to creationists.
Yeah.
You want to do that. You want me to be kinder and gentler.
Yeah, we're trying.
I know. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
Going to happen.
I have not seen Antangelo in chat at all today either. That's kind of... He's probably lurking, maybe. I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah.
He usually is, but...
Yep. Oh, let's see.
No Danny today. No Danny. Well, where the hell is everybody?
I don't know. Let me see if I can put that up. Where the hell? I don't know why I can't put that up. I don't understand. Well, that's crazy. That's some crazy shit. I'm trying to show you a picture. Photo. Open with preview. That'll work. It's kind of grainy because
I do have to give Antangelo credit though to come jump in these rooms, and he gets bombarded pretty heavy, and he still keeps coming back for more.
He got mad at me yesterday.
Elephant to be created.
Yeah.
He got mad at me yesterday.
Yeah. Well, that whole thing about, when you talked about the elephant thing, that certainly was a reasonable question to ask. And like you said, you're trying to pin him down on, okay, you want us to explain everything. Why don't you start doing some explaining? and he wanted no part of that, right? His answer was, well, I don't have to explain everything, and I don't have to know everything. Yeah. Okay.
So this guy you see in the picture here, I call him John, because I frequently no, I'm out in the yard, and this fucker is always out there somewhere staring at me. And one time he jumped me while I was emptying a compost pail, and he was like, I don't know, 20, 30 feet away from me, and he started jumping up and down and snorting at me. And I drew my revolver and said, "Don't fucking snort at me," and he ran away. He was like, but I mean, this guy has been stalking me for like a year, and I don't know what he's up to. He has a real issue with me, yeah. No, and I think he's working for John Maddox. I don't know.
Yeah. He doesn't look all that old, right? He's, what is that? Yeah. Four point? No, more than, how many points has he got?
Probably 5. He's
yeah. So he's fairly young adult. So that was, that's definitely John Maddox. He's young adult.
He's huge.
Dumb, really dumb. Deer in the headlights. All you need is a headlight pointed at him, and that would be Maddox for sure.
Yeah, but I was sitting at a table reading a textbook, and I looked up, and there he is staring at me. It's like, okay, dude, what's up? And I go out and try to feed him bread, and he runs away, and he just, I don't know what's up with him. Kind of worrisome. There was a really cool thing. There was a hunting season about 10 years ago. This guy from like down south, right, he wanted to go out back from the motel the night before hunting season and see what the woods was like in Minnesota, and he was from down south, so he had a southern accent. So a buck treed him, like started attacking him, right, getting really aggressive. So he's up in a tree, and he had a cell phone, and he called the police. So the officer came out and like, okay, dude, you're obviously not from here. It's just a deer. And the buck gored the officer.
No shit, huh?
Yeah, wow. I thought that was an interesting story. It's like, nope, the southerner was right. That fucking deer was mean. He was after him.
Yeah. They can do that. That's for sure.
Oh, they can do that. Yeah, they can fuck you up.
Oh yeah.
They can fuck you up with their hooves if they come down on you. They can
they basically slap, and that can do some serious damage. Yeah.
But anyway, that cop probably was more cautious or less cocky the next time he had a tourist on the horn.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, take this tourist seriously.
Do they do much deer hunting right around your house? Because that's a pretty nice buck there. I'm sure some deer hunter would like to get a hold of.
I think about 10 years ago, since the coyotes moved in, the deer population is just way down. But people were pissed off because the deer were eating their fucking landscaping. So they had a hunt down here, and they let a bunch of people. Now, I live between Burnsville, Minnesota, and Bloomington, Minnesota. And there's a river valley between us that's probably about a mile and a half, 2 miles wide. And that's where the deer live, right? So they put all these men with guns down there. And my neighbor got a bullet in his house.
Wow.
He's got a
that's
bullet
scary.
in his siding, right? Yeah. So that was, but they every now and then they kill them. But no, you can't hunt around here. You can just north of the cities, I think. But you really want to go middle Minnesota or further north. That's where. Well, I guess people hunt down south here. I don't know. I don't like it because it's hardwood and pasture. I prefer hunting in a thicker forest because it stops bullets, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah, down here with a 30-06, I don't know.
Well, certain states don't allow. There's very few states, but some states don't allow high-powered rifles.
Oh, really?
But most do, but some don't.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because like you said, you got to have the space. I mean, you got to have some space to fire a high-powered rifle because of the distance it can travel, right?
Yeah.
In some states, the smaller states will only allow basically shotguns with a slug, a shotgun slug.
Yeah.
Deer hunting.
So I acquired this 30-06, and which is a pretty popular deer hunting rifle. And I had a junk car on my hobby farm, and I shot a bullet into the trunk of the car, and then I looked to see where it went, and it went through the trunk, and it went through the metal behind the back seat. It went through the back seat, through the front seat, through the dash, and somewhere into the engine. So you know those Hollywood movies where they're shooting at a car and nobody gets killed?
Yeah.
Pretty much bullshit.
Yeah.
This fucking bullet went right through that entire car.
Yeah.
I think the only thing that stopped it is an engine block. It's like,
oh yeah,
So I unloaded the gun and put it on a rack and said, okay, that's pretty powerful.
Yeah, high-powered rifles are quite dangerous. Yeah.
Those things are a son of a bitch. They used to use those during World War II, and they had steel jacket shells. So back in the 60s, early 60s and 50s, we acquired a whole trunk load of these steel jacketed World War II 30-06 shells, right? And cartridges. And we my friend would go play with them, and then those things would go right through a tree, because back in World War II they didn't want to kill people, they just wanted to wound them. So they had steel jacketed shells, and these shells would go right through a body without doing a whole lot of damage, but it would put you down. You know, you were out of the battle. But boy, those fucking things were scary. They go right through it, like a 12-inch popple tree. Go right through it. It's like that ain't easy to do. That's some scary shit. So, but anyway, I think those things are illegal during hunting season because they have too much of a range. They go through too much brush. So,
you know what I just watched? Of course, you're on YouTube all the time, and I just recently, probably I don't know, a few weeks ago, I was bored or something, and I watched a video of some guys. They homemade little tiny little 22, basically machine guns. I happened to watch like 3 or 4 little short videos, and these guys were taking these 22 homemade. There was all different types. You know, they were machine guns types, and they had the huge barrels of I don't know if it was 100, more than 100, a couple hundred rounds or something like that. It was chopping down trees with them. You know, it was pretty good. He'd go right up to a tree and go and take the tree right down.
Beavers would love that.
Yeah.
Yep.
It was funny.
Beavers with guns.
Yep.
Okay, so anyway, we have strayed far and wide, and I think we should end for the day. What do you think?
Yeah, very quiet day. I wish we could have brought a little more to the crowd, but
yeah, some days
is what it is.
You said that beavers would love the trees being already chopped down.
Oh yeah, they'd love to. Well, they'd love to have that 22 so that they didn't have to do all that chewing.
Then they would love to not have teeth that grow through their skulls if they didn't chomp.
Oh yeah, they would love that. Yeah, they'd have a problem with that.
Had to keep on growing, so they.
Yeah, my top movie pick for the day is Zombeaver.
Huh?
My top movie pick of the day is Zombeaver. It's zombie beavers. It's just, you know, a wonderful cinematic delight.
Was that the movie you were talking about that you just watched last night?
No.
You mentioned some movie last night. You said you were going to go watch. I thought.
Well, I was watching Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Oh yeah. Okay.
The night before, I watched Promising Young Woman, I think, which is definitely okay. Zombeaver. I'm joking about that. Nobody should ever fucking watch that film. But do look at the poster. The preview is pretty amazing. But don't watch the movie. But anyway, Promising Young Woman is a wonderful movie. Probably one of the top movies I've seen in my life. I think. I don't know. It's up there. It's up in the top 100 anyway. So.
And another thing is, I posted a while back now, a few minutes ago, a game called Plague Inc.
Plague Inc.
It was a like a simulator for worldwide pandemics and stuff.
Oh yeah,
like
that
really
one.
Old.
Yeah. Yep. I hate games.
Well, it's like a simulator more.
Yeah.
For a pandemic.
Yep. Okay, guys, I think I'm going to end for the day.
Sounds good.
Last words.
Okay. Stay curious.
Stay curious. Okay.
Yeah.
Goodbye, cruel world.